Go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I'm gonna kind of get straight to it, right? So, order coffee, order some merchandise, go to my Subscribe Star and subscribe. There's going to be a lot of exclusive content coming out there. More and more information is coming out from different BPOUs across the state of Minnesota. Also working on a story out of Freeborn County, if we can make the right connections between now and the deadline that is fast approaching. I'm not going to do my sponsor ad for this video because I just don't feel like it's needed right now. As everybody's aware, there was a school massacre in Uvalde, Texas on the 24th. And this is certainly my Saturday SitRep, but I feel like all the other stuff that we could be talking about right now pales in comparison. We're still seeing people talk about inflation. We're still seeing people talk about jacked up fuel prices and the war in Ukraine and food shortages and on and on and on and on and on. And all of those things are important. But I don't think there's anything more important than the loss of innocent life. I am not going to talk about the shooter. Everybody knows how I feel about him. He is an evil man. And he deserves to rot in hell. That's what he deserves. And I hope he's there. I want no mercy, no grace, no forgiveness for him. I want him to rot in hell. The reason why he did it doesn't matter. He did it. But what does matter is what happened that day. And the other thing that matters is the response of people who call themselves conservative patriots or libertarian patriots, and the excuses that they're making for failed responses. I had I won't say a long drawn out, but a somewhat protracted conversation with an individual who claims to be a libertarian, but was, for lack of better terminology, attacking me, saying that I said things I didn't say, saying that I thought that cops should just get out of the way and let parents rush into the building. At no point did I ever say that parents should just be rushing, headlong into a building with an active shooter. What I did say, and what I'll acknowledge, was a hyperbolic statement that all of the cops on scene should be charged with the crime of murder. Because I believe that ultimately, whether other people agree with me or not, is their lack of action in the face of orders from higher command resulted in the deaths of numerous individuals, elementary age students to teachers. 21 people. And I know the conspiracy theories are flying around the QAnon community right now that this is a false flag, no one actually died, and on and on and on and on and on. But I want to get past that And I want to deal with the reality of what we do know. The Texas governor, the Texas lieutenant governor, the highest law enforcement official in the state of Texas have announced that they were deceived, that they were lied to about the situation and the severity of it, and that they were told that it was under control, that the shooter was barricaded into a room and that he was contained. They were told that no one else was in harm's way, while men with guns sat outside of a door and waited for a key before trying to make entry into that room. And all of the apologists have come out and gotten mad at me and said, you just it's easy for you to say, you weren't there, you weren't on the ground, you don't know all the facts. Well, doesn't that apply to you too? Why is it I'm not allowed to be angry and state what I believe, but you can defend these actions, starting at the top with the commander, the incident commander? And people need to understand there's always an incident commander, and that incident commander is not always a sheriff or the chief of police. Sometimes that incident commander is a sheriff, so sometimes it's a chief, sometimes it's a lieutenant, a captain, a sergeant, whatever the case might be. But everybody's making excuses for this incident commander, saying, well, we don't know all the facts yet, we don't know everything that's going on. But everybody's coming out and stating that 40 plus minutes of waiting to go into a room with an active shooter, with students and teachers in harm's way, there's no excuse for that. But we got to give them a break, right? Because we're patriots, we're constitutionalists, we're conservatives, we're conservative libertarians, we're liberty-minded individuals. We've got to give the cops a break. No, we don't. We don't have to give the cops a break on this. And I don't care if I lose friends on this one. I don't care if I just hit over 2,000 subscribers. I don't care if I lose 1,500 of you and I'm back down to 500 subscribers and I lose my my income for this. I don't care. And then you turn around and the guys that are assigned to the security detail, the people who are supposed to keep the parents corralled and away from the school building, are tasing parents, putting parents in handcuffs, threatening parents with arrest, throwing parents on the ground, while they stand there in body armor with long rifles, and their comrades are inside of a building, sitting behind a locked door, cowering because the guy's got a gun. And the parents are saying, do something, please. We're begging you to do something, or let me go in and do something. How would you feel if that were you and it was your kid inside that building? And somebody said, well, it's easy for you to say. You don't know what you do in that situation. You don't know, if you've never been in that situation, you don't know how you would respond. It's just so easy to money quarterback this, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I'm going to Monday morning quarterback this. You damn right I am. Sarah says, all the bootlickers, you mean? We should encourage to have a discussion with law enforcement when this kind of mess happens. Yes. Kent, that's why I love you, man of principle. I hope so, Kent. I really do. Sarah, yes. What they did to the parents was absolutely appalling. I don't know if people understand how hard this is for me. I have a family member who has been in law enforcement for over 20 years. I stand to risk my relationship with him and other family members for saying the things that I'm saying. I am not anti-cop. but I am over giving them a break. They don't get a pass anymore. What happened in Uvalde was evil, and it wasn't just evil because the shooter did something. It was evil because people with guns, with protect and serve emblazoned on the side of their freaking vehicles, rushed to a scene and didn't protect and they didn't serve. But we're supposed to applaud them because they escorted children from schoolrooms that weren't in classrooms. Oh, good for you! You escorted people out of classrooms that weren't in the harm's way, and you got them on buses. And I had somebody else who's a cop say, "You didn't. You think that people should have been able to just go and get their kids off the buses? They needed to be interviewed. I don't give a. They were parents looking for their children. And I'm supposed to say, hey, no, 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 let them sit on a bus until we can account for them so that you can interview these elementary age students about this traumatic event that they just witnessed. Well, you don't know all the facts. We're never going to know all the facts, ladies and gentlemen. You want to know why we're never going to know all the facts? Because our state doesn't ever want us to know all the facts. And here's the other problem. Right now, everybody's trying to distance themselves from the chief of police of the Uvalde school district. Everybody's trying to distance themselves from all the other commanders on scene because they know this was a screw up. They effed up big time. And Governor Abbott and his lieutenant governor and the head of the Texas Department of Public Safety and everybody else is trying to make sure that everyone knows that they didn't have anything to do with this. And this is going to get brushed under. There might be an investigation, and there'll be some sort of panel, and there'll be some sort of hearing, and there'll be some people will get their hands slapped, and don't ever let this happen again, and let us learn a lesson from this. That next time, next time. But what's going to end up happening is what happens anytime the state investigates itself, whether it be the military or it be law enforcement or it be some department or some department head. Whenever it investigates itself, they're going to investigate themselves, and we're never going to know what the ultimate outcome is. And somebody's going to walk away with a severance package who actually did something wrong. And I'm getting reports from people who have screenshots that this agency had an active shooter protocol in place because they just took training. And if their response was what their active shooter protocol was, it was wrong because every other active protocol or every other protocol for active shooters in a school says you go in no matter what the risk to personal life and limb is, you go in and you stop it. And the reason why patriot-minded conservative libertarians and conservative Republican types are starting to back away from blindly and following and endorsing law enforcement in general is because of crap like this and what happened at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in 2018 when cops showed up. Some of them were on scene and told everybody to stay back, got on the radio, don't come in, don't come in, don't come in, and hid behind walls. One guy on video gets out of his car, goes to his trunk, and puts on his protective vest and grabs his long rifle and kind of meanders around and never engages. And the neighboring county sheriff did their investigation and did their hearing, and they chastised him and some lower guys lost their job, and I think a couple other people ended up resigning, but nothing ever happened. No charges were ever filed. Children were calling from inside of the classroom saying, "We need help," while grown men with guns sat outside, too afraid to go in, until they could get a key to open the door. And somebody's like, "Well, what if the door was made out of really thick steel or very heavy wood?" And go through the freaking windows. People are going to die. At least put some effort into it. And here's what I want to say. I used a hyperbolic statement on my post yesterday that sparked this outrageous idiot, Lee, came in and started attacking me and saying that I said things I never said. And he said, "Well, you just wanted those guys to all rush off and leave the parents to go rushing in and interfering with the SWAT team and yada, yada, yada." One, I never said that. Two, I understand the purpose of a security detail in a situation like this. But if you're sitting there and for 40 freaking minutes, and the men that you work with, the men and women that you work with are in there and they're not doing anything, and you hear gunshot after gunshot after gunshot after gunshot, you go in there and you intervene and you say, "Get your asses through that goddamn door," and you take that son of a bitch down, or so help me God, I'm going to put each and every single one of you in freaking handcuffs when this is done. That's what you do. Because you're going to end up having to protect those people from the pissed off parents. But instead, they tased parents. They put parents in handcuffs. They slammed parents to the ground. And in one of the videos, you can say, "Why aren't you in there tasing the guy that's shooting our kids instead of tasing us?" And I understand that not everybody understands tactics. I understand that not everybody understands protocol. And parents who are stressed out in the middle of a high stress situation are going to make demands that are not reasonable. But somebody should have said, "I've had enough. I'm not following orders anymore. I'm going in there. If I have to go alone, I will go." But we've raised entire generations of cowards in this country, and many of them wear a uniform. So yes, I believe that the men who are out there keeping the parents at bay should have heard the pleas of those parents and gone in and told those guys, "You get your asses through that door or we're going through ourselves." And somebody's like, "Well, you're interfering with a SWAT operation and that's illegal and you could be disciplined." I don't give a damn. I will take the repercussions down the road. Get in there yourselves or I'm going in. It's depraved indifference. And every single one of those parents who was placed in handcuffs and pushed down on the ground or tased has every right in the world to expect some sort of compensation for what happened to them. And every single one of those officers there that day should have qualified immunity stripped from them, all the way up the chain of command. And the teacher who propped the door in violation of security protocols for that school, done, should never teach again. But we're going to give her a pass because, well, gosh darn it, she was just going out to get a cell phone and she was trying to take part in this event and everything. And so it's not her fault. No, it is her fault. It is her fault. You don't break the rules. Because crap like this happens when you break the rules, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you break the rules. If I did that, If I was just happened to be in that school for a legitimate reason and I said, oh, hey, I forgot something out in my car and I propped the door and then somebody came in and shot up the school, nobody be giving me a pass. But she loved the students. I don't care. She needs to be in jail. Her indifference to following the rules led directly to the deaths of 21 people. Well, she's going to live with that for the rest of her life. Well, she should live with that for the rest of her life while she sits at least 5 years in prison. Well, that's a little harsh. Okay, tell that to the parents who lost their children. Tell that to the husbands and the wives and the parents and the grandparents of the teachers who died. Tell that to the people who've experienced this traumatic incident and now have to live with this for the rest of their lives. Elementary age kids who saw their friends and their teachers gunned down, bathed in blood. Tell that to the kid who had to cover themselves in blood to hide from this maniac. In the two parties, the uniparty really, they've come out and they've drawn their battle lines, ladies and gentlemen. What are their battle lines? Gun control. The leftists and the Democrat Party, we've got to take guns from law-abiding citizens. And the Republicans are like, we got to arm teachers. Have you looked at the average teacher today? I mean, not all of them. Some of them are well trained. Some of them are beefy. Some of them are tougher than nails. But have you considered the average teacher today? I mean, honestly, do you want your kid's social studies teacher who has pink hair and uses their preferred pronouns and yada, 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 carrying a gun? I mean, these people would be the first people to turn it over to the shooter and go, please don't shoot me. And don't misgender me. And don't you dare dead name me. Unless it's a PE teacher, some big burly PE teacher, girls PE teacher or boys PE teacher, let's just be honest. Yeah, I'm pissed off. And I'm sick and tired of the excuse making. I don't have a vendetta against law enforcement in general. I really don't. I know some people don't believe it. I know I've been saying a lot of hard things since the crap went down in my career field, or for me in my career. But I don't have a personal vendetta against law enforcement in general. But we have to be pragmatic. And we have to understand that the law enforcement career field is not what it once was. They're really not about protecting and serving. Most law enforcement departments spend most of their time trying to figure out the way to be more diverse, how to have more women, how to have more people of different ethnicities, how to have more people of different genders, and how to have more people of different yada, 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 with no thought as to whether or not any of these people are qualified to be doing the job. I worked along some really great people, but I wouldn't have wanted them to be beside me in a fight because they wouldn't have been. I would have had to stop defending myself to defend them. And there were several incidents just in my little puny little world that I was in as a detention deputy where I had to go to the aid of someone who couldn't protect themselves. And I had to have somebody protect me when somebody got the drop on me. I'm not proud of that, but I'm a fighter. You put me in a situation where I don't have a choice. I'm going to fight you until we're both bleeding. But most of the people today that we're bringing in law enforcement are not equipped with that. Well, let's use our words. Let's try to... And I'm all for de-escalation, by the way. I think cops should come into every situation and they should be treating the person that they're dealing with, even if they're the worst criminal in the world, with deference and respect. But we've seen this play out over and over and over again. Go search YouTube for new cops and their actions, like literally backing down from a fight when it could mean their partner or somebody else on their team getting hurt, because they're not ready for it, because we've raised a generation of wimps and cowards. There's the saying from a dystopian book that says, hard times build hard men, and hard men build easy times, and easy times build soft men, and soft men build hard times. We're in the soft men stage. That's where we are. We are literally in the soft men stage. And they're building hard times. It's easier to tase a pissed off parent. It's easier to tase a crying parent. It's easier to tase a parent who says, let me go and rescue these people. Let me go and rescue my child. Let me go and make sure my child is okay. It's easier to do that than it is to rush into a hail of bullets by a single gunman. And then for everybody else to rush around and say, well, we don't have all the facts. A lot of the people that are telling me that we need to err on the side of caution here are also the same people who demanded that the officers who sat by while Derek Chauvin put his knee on the neck of George Floyd were up in arms that those men were charged for not acting. Let that sink in. Three officers from the Minneapolis Police Department stood idly by, a couple of them providing crowd control. For what was the number did we end up deciding? Was it like almost 9 minutes? Three officers sat by. And watched Derek Chauvin preside over the death of George Floyd. One man didn't deserve to die that way. He didn't deserve what happened to him. And those men are facing criminal charges. They're probably never going to see the light of day again in the rest of their lives. And probably rightly so. And now I have people defending these cops and saying, well, they were there for crowd control, or, what did you expect them to do, to disobey an order? Did you expect them to intervene when other people were doing X? Yeah, because I got news for you. In my capacity as a deputy inside of a detention center, if I saw that kind of depraved indifference and that kind of cowardice, I would have either acted or I would have personally requested that person be disciplined. If I couldn't force the action to happen. I understand tactics. I understand protocols. I understand that you have to approach a situation with a certain sense of level-headedness. But when children are being slaughtered in front of their parents, you do something, goddammit. And you want to know why more people aren't outraged right now? Because we've devalued human life in this country to the point where we have states considering allowing mothers to murder their children even after they've been born. And because the conservative movement thinks that it's best at all costs to back the blue no matter what. No. I won't be party to that. No matter how many relationships it costs me, no matter how many friendships it costs me, no matter how many people hate me for it, I was never that guy, and I will never be that man. So yeah, if you're okay with those 3 officers being charged with criminal charges in the death of George Floyd, then you had better be on board with every single one of the officers at the school, at the Robb Elementary School, being charged for failing to act. The law enforcement career field is not the friend of conservatism anymore. It's not. And we have governor candidates out there all across this country making promises about how they back the blue and on and on and on and on and on. And all the sycophants and all the bootlickers are like, "Arr!" I'll back a good cop. Once he can explain to me what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights says and what and explain to me what it means to protect and serve. But until then, I'm not buying him coffee anymore. I'm not buying him a donut anymore. I'm not buying their meal anymore. I'm handing him a Constitution and telling him, study this, because this is your law. And if proof comes out that all of this is a bunch of bunk, I'll put a video out detracting and apologizing. But I think we're going to be waiting a very long time. I'm not going to do my normal close. I'm done. I have nothing else to say about this tonight. The scriptures tell us to mourn with those who mourn, to weep with those who weep, to hurt with those who are hurting, and to rejoice with those who are rejoicing. I don't think there's anything to rejoice about right now. Get on your face, America. Repent and turn.